Hello, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Pharaoh Brand Method podcast. Hope you guys are having an amazing week. It feels good to make these podcast episodes because I feel like I'm helping a lot of women out there with, being more visible, being more feral, having more leadership, and really standing in the power of who they fucking are as powerful women. I mean, I sit in a container where there is nothing but powerful women in this group. And it's fucking amazing because we uplift each other, we love each other, we call each other out on stuff. It's amazing. And I absolutely love it. So this is the kind of work that I knew I was meant to do. And I absolutely love it. I run 2 brands. And I absolutely love what I do. If you don't know my story, I, was a CT technologist for a very long time, 23 years in the radiology industry, and got burnt out on that and knew I didn't want to work for somebody else anymore. Because as women, we have the power where we can work for ourselves. And that's how I discovered one night, because I was divorced. I was broke. I was just trying to piece together my life because I have 2 special needs kids and living on my own for the very first time after 20 years. And I knew I wanted to make more impact and start a business to have more freedom and not be broke anymore and just get out of the cycle of debt and the cycle of the fucking 9 to 5 that I decided, I really want to do this. How do I do this? And that's how I ended up with my coach, Tay Daniels. Just one night, there was this video that came across. She was on it. And I said, let me go check her out. And that was 4 years ago. And I even sold shit out of my garage to be in her space, in her containers, in her programs. It has worked out for me because I've made every single investment back plus more. And I have made more money just being a business owner than I have working a 9 to 5. So if that doesn't tell you what the possibility, of success really exists out there, then I don't know what to tell you. So I am so grateful that you all continue to listen and subscribe to the show. It's fucking amazing, and thank you. So like I have said in previous episodes, that I have joined together in a licensing venture with my coach, Tay Daniels. She is the owner of the trademark brand Breadwinner Energy, and my brand is going to be under that licensing. So I am going to be also teaching her methodologies, along with mine in that container. So that is coming up in the coming months. But I'm also launching my own group coaching program where I teach women how to be feral leaders and be more visible in their content, because I am a visibility alchemist. I am an expert when it comes to content strategy, and I also use the 3 biggest elements in your birth chart as your blueprint to make sure that you show up as that feral leader in your brand. So those are the things that I do in my business. And then I'm partnering along with the trademark company Breadwinner Energy to just expand the masses. I am one of the founding mothers in there. So if you are interested in seeing what I've got going on, make sure that you follow along on TikTok and on Instagram, and make sure you subscribe to the podcast, because I will be releasing all that information in the coming months. So everything will be in the show notes. So make sure you go check that out. Also, if you are interested in listening to my coach's podcast, she is the host of the Breadwinner Energy podcast. I will link that in the show notes as well. It's an amazing podcast. I've been a guest on that podcast. She is fire. And I've worked with her for years, and she is amazing. So let's get into today's episode. In today's episode, I am going to be giving you a little mini masterclass on how becoming the feral leader of your life. So this is becoming the feral leader of your life is what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to be going over certain points, and we're going to dive deep into this. So first is why financial power matters for women, and personal brands as economic tools, because personal brands are that. Visibility equals influence equals income, and then mindset shifts that are required. Okay. So let's talk about the first point. The first point that I have is why financial power matters for women. Now, if you haven't heard my story is something that I tell over and over and over again on how I got to be in this place as a business owner into entrepreneurship. Back in 2019, I had just gotten divorced. I had been married for 10 years to a man who was not a very nice person. He was very mentally abusive. He was very emotionally abusive. And it just was not a person that I had envisioned spending the rest of my life with. And I know sometimes the most important decision that we make, especially, is who we choose to marry and who we choose to have children with. Of course, not that my children are a mistake, because my children are never a mistake. They were the biggest blessing. However, as a partner, yeah, I could have done better. Well, in the result of that divorce, I was left broke. I was left with nothing. I was the breadwinner of that marriage because my ex-husband did not work and didn't care to work. And I was going through a very long grieving process of the divorce, of being a single parent and parenting two special needs kids on my own. Because of course we have joint custody, so they're only with me 50% of the time. So I was going through a lot of transitions very quickly, and it was very expeditiously, like I had to just figure it all out because I am in a state where I have zero family. I do not have a support system. I do not have a tribe. And yes, through my 9 to 5, I made a lot of really good friendships and connections with people, which I am so grateful for because they knew what I was struggling with. And I remember going to work every day and just trying to put on a brave face because I had patients to take care of. And of course, I have to shut off what is going on, outside of the job so that it doesn't interfere with taking care of my patients. And then what I would do is when I would get in my car, I would just break down and cry on, I don't have enough money. I'm broke. While my ex-husband was out there living his best life and he was doing this and he was doing that, and that he was so much better than me. And of course it takes a hit to you and thinking that you're not enough. And I just was, the broke single parent with special needs kids, no support, no nothing, just slaving myself to a 9 to 5. And I said, this has to be a better way. There has to be a better way to this. And so when I started to kind of figure out why I needed to really step into being a business owner and really creating a brand that my daughters can be proud of, that is when I ran into a video of my coach, Tay Daniels. I will forever be grateful for that woman because that woman fucking saved my life. And I have been on a guest on her podcast. She has literally saved my life. I did everything I could because I knew that her programs, actually at the time, her programs were actually affordable, but I knew I wanted to have that impact to be a business owner. Because when I joined her container, I had no idea what kind of business I wanted to start. And I knew that financial power mattered because with money, I would create more freedom for myself and more freedom from my children and get myself out of all these debts, get myself out of, oh my gosh, and is my car going to get repoed today? How am I going to pay the mortgage? The utilities are due. My cell phone bill is due. And just knowing that, okay, if I create something that's sustainable and I just have clients that I can secure, that I can not only make this investment back and create the life and afford the life that me and my daughters deserve. So that's when I started learning the methodology, and I had no idea how to be a business owner. Trust me, I had to learn by a lot of trial and error with that. But I learned how to do it. I signed 120 clients in 90 days. As soon as I started believing in myself and saying, fuck it, being powerful to me as a woman and having financial power is what I need to do. I don't need to slave anymore and hustle and grind. Let me go out there and say, fuck it. I'm just going to put it out there. And that's how I grew my first brand. My first brand runs in the background 24/7. People buy the courses, they buy, the offers that I have. All I do in that brand is create content. That's all I do. I don't teach any new classes. I don't teach anything. I don't coach anything. I just have digital products. I go ahead and create content around those digital products. They're there and they sell while I sleep. Okay. So I knew that creating financial power for myself and making sure that I have not only a safety net, but things for my children just in case shit happens. And for women, that is what matters because we want to create something that, hey, if something happens, we have something to fall back on. We have a safety net. We have nothing we need to worry about. Think of it as like an emergency fund. We all need to have those, right? And I know when I got divorced, I had absolutely nothing, zero. And I was always told that I was nothing and nobody would date me because I'm a special needs mom, which is total bull. I did have a couple relationships. Those people were wonderful. However, both of them didn't work out, and that's okay because I learned more about myself and what I wanted out of when I was ready to marry again, that hey, these are the standards and the non-negotiables that I hold to a higher tier. And if they are not going to honor that, goodbye. And that's it. I don't give any time or energy to anything that is not going to have peaceful, just have peace and clarity in my life. Got to get rid of it. So financial power matters because it will go ahead and give you the more space, time, and freedom for the things that you want to do. Now, your personal brand as an economic tool. Now, think of your personal brand as something that solves a problem for people. Because when people come online or they go to seminars or they listen to podcasts or they listen to audiobooks, whatever method of information that people are consuming, they look for, okay, I have this problem. How can this person solve my problem? So it's an economic tool because if you set yourself up to say, okay, I understand these pain points because this is the problem that you have. Here is a solution. This is the result. That's how you can be a powerhouse and use it as an economic tool, which is very, very powerful. But also, you have to make sure that you're visible and that you stand in that feral feminine power. Now, visibility to equal influence to equal income, money, of course. So visibility is everything. Whether you're speaking on a stage, whether you're collabing on a podcast, whether you are showing up on social media, providing content and value to people, you have to make sure that you are authentic and that you're a real person because people value more authenticity than anything nowadays. I could tell you that as far as the era of the influencer, and I use that term very loosely because I see a lot of those influencers online and I can't stand it. The era of the influencer is really just a dying breed. I know that's a hot take, but that's how I feel and that's my perspective. So you can take with that as you will. It's just because they've set themselves up as, okay, well, I'm an influencer and people will just listen to me. But when you hide behind who you're really not, people will see the cracks through that. So when you are visible, you are being you, yourself, raw, authentic, and true to your identity. So what that comes is, yes, you do influence people, but for the right reasons. Stick with me here. You influence people for the right reasons. And it's not because, they want to gain a following. Oh, give me money. Because you see a lot of that shit, especially on TikTok. So when you are visible as a real person, yes, you do influence people to say, I can really relate to that. How do I work with this person? That called to me. That message hit hard for me. How can I be in that person's world? So you influence people to join your community, to be a part of your containers, to follow you on social media, to listen to your podcast, to watch your YouTube channel, whatever method it is that you draw people in to solve their problem. Well, with that comes income, comes money. So when you go ahead and you teach them your methodology and how they can better solve their problems, and here's the result, and it's always, yes, you helped me, that generates a shit ton of money, and even fuck you money if you strategically plan it that way, right? So with visibility comes influence and comes income. So when you get people in your containers and you solve their problem, you give them awesome results, That's when they will refer you to other people. They will start talking about you, and that's how you bring in more income. Now, to tie all those things together, you have to have the appropriate mind shifts. Okay. The mindset shift is required. So you can't be that, inner child, broken, fear of rejection kind of, business owner in your personal brand, because people will see that. You can't just say, okay, yes, I'm desperate to be liked because I want more followers so I can monetize. You can't do that. In order to be financially powerful, to really use your personal brand as an economic tool, to have more visibility, influence, to gain more money, you have to shift your mindset in that, yes, I am a powerful leader. Yes, I am feral. I am opinionated. I don't care if people unfollow. I don't care if people don't like my content. I don't care that people do not resonate with my message. Then they're your wrong people. They're not your people. Okay. So when you are grounded and you are emotionally regulated, where your nervous system is not in fucking chaos, because you can tell the business owners in chaotic when they show up on social media and they're a hot fucking mess. Okay. I could probably name 3 off the top of my head. So that's why we implement the 3 biggest elements in your birth chart as a blueprint. So you know exactly how you come off as a leader, how your natural voice is, and how your content style is. And those are determined by your 3 biggest elements in your birth chart. And that's what I do in my program, is that we take that and we alchemize it and we get you to go ahead and be more visible and fucking feral in your content. But you cannot have chaos. You cannot have a dysregulated nervous system, and you can't be in your comfort zone, because that shit does not work. Your mindset is everything, and you have to get into the right headspace where you are regulated, you are neutral, you are calm, in order to be that powerhouse. Because nobody wants to see a personal brand and a woman that is a leader in her personal brand trauma dumping in complete fucking chaos. I tell you this because I've done it, and it doesn't work. It doesn't bring you clients. It doesn't bring you money. So you have to be grounded and neutral and regulated so that you can be more visible. You can influence people and bring them in as a community and make more money. So that is it for this episode. Hopefully this resonate and you can be the feral leader of your fucking life. So make sure that you follow on TikTok, follow on Instagram, because I drop a lot of knowledge and I drop a lot of birth chart, just, to-dos, and a lot of valuable content when it comes to using your birth chart to be that feral leader. So thank you so much for joining me on this podcast episode. I will chat with you guys in the next episode.